Hello, I'm Dr. Tombley, and this is a short video about how long it should take for someone to complete MRT. MRT is moral recognition therapy. It is a program that is designed to move people through Kohlberg's stages of moral development, moving from the baseline of pain, pleasure, and reciprocity decision-making all the way up to the higher values of a good society. There's a link here that you can click on that'll take you to some of the research on their page. The creators of MRT were Greg Little and Ken Robinson. They're the owners of Correctional Counseling Incorporated, and they have a website that has lots of information about MRT on it. MRT was adopted in 2008 as an evidence-based program by SAMHSA, but it's been around since the 1980s and has been highly researched and is heavily used in both the Department of Corrections and other substance abuse treatment programs. MRT is a 12 to 16 step program, even though most locations just utilize the first 12. The 12 steps do not correlate with the standard NA or AA steps. They're unique to MRT. It generally takes 6 to 12 months to complete MRT based on how many groups a week a participant attends. Therapeutic communities sometimes have 2 or 3 MRT meetings a week. Therefore, they obviously can finish it much faster. Outpatient settings that only have 1 meeting a week, or they meet every other week, take much longer. MRT participants are not expected to make a presentation every week. In fact, sometimes there are a lot of other tasks they need to perform within the group in order to experience the change that is associated with the positive impact of MRT. See, MRT is more than a workbook. They don't just complete the stuff and then get it graded in group. What they do is the workbook is designed to be a tool that leads them through a set of experiences at each step that then creates the context or the possibility for change. When they come together in a group, they fill one of 3 roles, either an observer, a presenter, or a supporter. Observers are watching others struggle and having success with acceptance and surrender. They're looking at how change is happening in their life. This is a high motivator. It's one of the bridges to move people from pre-contemplation to contemplation stages of change. Observers ask questions. They even process their own internal fears or responses to what they're seeing. They don't just watch. They're asked questions by the facilitator and they engage the group. Presenters, well, this is the most obvious. They present their step. They have to work on being authentic and honest before the group. They have to be open to feedback. And if they don't pass the step, then they have to be ready to handle the failure and look forward to redeeming that failure to a success the following week. And lastly, there's the supporters. Sometimes the only role you play in group that day is someone presenting a group that you've already passed. You are the supporter. You help confirm or deny if that client's presentation is successful. You provide feedback, analysis on the presentation. You tentatively but positively challenge the experiences, and you share what it was like when you went through that step. Each group should have one or all of these 7 elements in them. Group meetings should have a variety of steps being presented. You never want all step 1s and then all step 2s and then all steps 3s. It's helpful to have a mixture. Maybe you have a step 1, a step 5, and a step 10, all in the same week. Secondly, all group rules must be followed with very little divergence. The population we treat with MRT, they're used to bending the rules, breaking the rules, or reshaping the rules to meet their own needs. We don't allow divergence from the rules in MRT presentations. Thirdly, group time should be spent on reviewing the purposes of each step. Even if all you do is read the highlighted boxes where they give each step's instructions, this sets a good context for the step. Groups' time should be spent on preparing members for their next presentation, getting them ready, answering their questions, helping them be as successful as they can. The better prepared they are, the better change they will experience. Groups should regularly review the Freedom Ladder. It's the key to understanding the why of MRT. And group conversations should be limited to just processing MRT topics. There's other times in other groups for other topics. Stay on point with MRT. And you should always be revisiting and repeating steps. Failure is part of success, and those should be regular experiences of a group. Let me end by giving you an example of how we spent an hour of a group session last week. In that group, I had a couple of new people. Two of them were just getting ready on group one. One had just started that day, just got their book. It was fresh. And then I had a group presenter that was going to present step 4. We spent our first 25 minutes listening and processing that step 4 presentation. See, there is a facilitator's guide that has certain things that a facilitator must take both the group and the presenter through once a presentation is made. Then we dismissed her and she stood in the hall while those that had finished step 4 already decided if she had passed or failed. The group decided she did not pass. She missed some significant points. We brought her back in and spent the next 5 minutes giving her positive feedback on how she could be successful the next time she presented. Now we're done with 30 minutes of the group. We turned our attention to the 3 new people, and we talked about the core elements of MRT and what step 1 was like. I made sure they understood the rules. And then a couple of the people that had presented step 1 talked about their step 1 experience. Not just what it was like to succeed or fail in their first presentation, but how meaningful it was now in their life. They saw the reason for step 1. And then we moved to step 2. The person who was preparing for the step presentation next week. I made sure he knew the rules. We reviewed the purpose of step 2, and then we all went to this Freedom Ladder and saw how step 2 finally moves us out of that stage of disloyalty. By then, our hour was up. When you see what happens in the group, you can see why it takes 6 to 12 months to get successfully through MRT. What have we found? We found those that work the steps and work them slowly are the ones that have the greatest success in recovery. I'm a firm believer in MRT. I love it, and it inspires me every time I go through it.